Good morning, everybody. I'm in the difficult position of following a Viking and a drama queen, so I haven't got anything controversial to say at all, apart from I actually am Welsh, so it's nice to actually do a presentation in my own country for once. So, bring your own device. It's been a trend that's happening for a long time, for the last couple of years now, and what I'm going to share with you today is share with you some of our findings, some surveys we've run and data that we've collected from our customers and our partners out there on why bring your own device is so impactful, and then share with you some of the considerations that a business needs to take from a technology and an IT perspective. And what I also share with you is our experience as a business. We are a company, we're a business, we might be in IT, but we're going through bring your own device ourselves. And we've been doing it for a couple of years. So I want to make sure I'm sharing with you our experience and the things that we had to do as a company to help to enable bring your own device. And afterwards, I'll be around for the rest of the day. Please come up and ask me any questions if you want to find any more information about it and what we did inside Cisco. So we ran a survey with our customers end of last year, and we were looking at Gen Y. Does anybody know what Gen Y is? Crikey. Right, anybody who's born in the 80s. So there you go. Thank you very much, Andy. At least one person who's born in the 80s. If you're born in the 80s, you are a Gen Y person. And these are the type of people, and you are the type of people, because I'm sure there are plenty of you in the room, who are challenging IT because of the way you want to work. And so we've gone away and we've put some information around it. And basically, one of the major things is this. The way we gather information and gather data. It's all changed. I mean, I remember the day when I used to walk into work and you sit down and read the paper for 5 minutes before you started with a cup of coffee and gather the news, what's going on. Nowadays, it's all at our fingertips with these devices. It's been a revolution because people have been buying them. They get them with a service provider, they get them with a contract, but they think they're good devices and they're good and they're fit for purpose. And what's challenging IT nowadays is that the devices they're getting for themselves to use at home, for personal use, are sometimes better than they're getting at work. So we asked them, if you could choose one device, what would you pick? And a third of them were picking smartphones. And then another third were picking laptops, and the other were picking tablets. But smartphones are more popular, and it is becoming the device of choice for people to use for the majority of the day. And what we're seeing now is that smartphone sales are now outstripping PC sales. I saw something on YouTube the other day and it actually said there's more iPhone devices being sold than babies being born. I find that quite hard to believe worldwide, but it seems to be happening that these iPhones are going out there. But the routine is changing. Now, I can personally, I'm not Gen Y by a long shot, but I can personally relate to this slide. Because in the morning, the alarm goes off, me and my wife, the phone comes out. It's on silent, by the way, Jamie. The phone comes out, and we sit there, and all I see, I look over to my wife, and there's a glow, and she's catching up with Facebook. And then there's me, and I'm catching up with my emails and saying, what emails have come in during the night? What can I get done? What can I action? What do I need to think about while I'm in the car driving to the office or driving to my next meeting? And it really has changed the way we work. And what we've actually seen now, and this was a study that the BBC did, that people are working for an extra 2 hours a day because of smartphones or smart devices. They're getting 2 hours extra. And the interesting thing about that article was, it was about repetitive strain injury, because people are using their thumbs to actually do things. But the way that people are working really is changing. So where are people using these? In bed, I know that. In the bathroom, less said about that, the better. Dinner times, in the car. We're basically, what this is showing is that people are being connected and want to be connected from the start of the day to the finish. And wherever they are, they want to get things done. Whether it's communicating with their friends or actually getting something done for work. But what the difference is that people are wanting to work the way they want to work. And the days of when you come into the office and say you sit at your desk and you'll work till the first break, then you'll stop, and then you'll work again are changing. And these people are coming out of university and they're going to be coming out of schools, are going to challenge the way we work. And it is because of the devices are enabling them to do that. And what are they doing with these devices? People are tweeting, people are Facebooking, people are working, people are emailing. But people are recording pictures. We've had our pictures today taken on the beach, which was absolutely freezing, by the way. That's already on Twitter. I'm following it there on Twitter. I sat at the desk, I sat at my table. We noticed at the Olympics, when we provided internet to everybody at the Olympics, we thought, right, we're really concerned about people accessing it and pulling down loads of data. It was the total opposite. People were taking pictures, taking videos, and uploaded them live to Facebook, to Twitter, whatever. But we saw a total shift that the uploads of high-definition pictures and video were outstripping everything else. Video is becoming a lot more important. And these devices make it so much easier to consume video. Now, it's just not everybody watching YouTube and watching Charlie bite his brother's finger. But it's people who want to learn. If I want to learn something about my company, Cisco, when we release a new product, I get the email and I go and watch it on YouTube. Because it's nice, concise, and very descriptive. If I want to learn, when I learned how to fix my bike, I went on YouTube. So video is becoming a lot more powerful in a way that you can actually consume information, and you can actually see it on a device that suits you for wherever you are. But these young people don't like doing what they're told. Security is a concern. They will try to get around any security policy that we put in place. And we've experienced that because we did a little bit of a pilot where we said, right, okay, we're going to allow people to connect with their iPhones. So this is back in about 2010, 2011, and said, right, we're going to have a pilot and we'll allow some people, I think it's about 80 people, to connect with their iPhones to the network. 15,000 people 3 months later were already connected. It went viral. People just went out and connected because they found out they could do it. And these Gen Ys aren't going to comply to policy. They will find a way around it. So you need to think about how do you solve that problem. But IT think that people are going to be able to obey the laws, obey the policies. So you need to consider a way of actually doing that. And things to maybe consider is, and the way we did it at Cisco was, give them access. If you give them access, then they're going to be on and they'll be doing things you want them to do. But if you start to deny them, they'll find ways around it. But this BYOD phenomenon is just the start of things to come. We're seeing smartphones, tablets, and a plethora of different devices are connecting now. And we're going to think about this challenge. And it was interesting early on, one of the other speakers mentioned about printers. Well, printers are connected and people are going to start to have, trying to spam printers maybe. But there's 99% of the world is still not connected. So what we're seeing now, and think about what you're going to do now for bring your own device, is the same sort of policy and security procedures you need to put in place for all these other things are going to start to connect. And so you get this right now, and you'll be able to meet the needs in the future of all these more smart devices coming in, fridges, TVs, cars. So, a bit of a summary of this initial survey that we did. It is the Gen Y, the smartphone is outstripping the laptop of the device of choice. People are checking compulsively. I must admit, I check my phone at least every 90 seconds. More because I'm interested in what the Twitter feeds were saying about this event today. But people get anxious when they lose that device. I must admit, I lost my phone the other day, left it in the car, and it fell under the passenger seat. I didn't work for an hour. I searched for that phone. Didn't work at all. I had a phone at my desk. I could have spoken to anybody. They all got my desk number. Still, search my phone. But people are building their relationships online. People are building relationships with their friends, but they're also going to use it to build relationships with their customers and their partners and people they're doing business with. So think about it now that the way of working is changing. The device that people are choosing to use are changing. But if you embrace it, then and understand that they may not be working 3-4 hours solidly on a piece of work for you, but they'll be doing other things, but they'll get the work done. But they'll get it done the way they want to work on the device they choose. So from Cisco's perspective, BYOD is the biggest trend that we're seeing today. It's our biggest challenge that we need to help our customers meet and work with our partners to deploy and deliver solutions, whether they're a small business, a medium-sized business, or a large enterprise. It is the biggest thing that we're talking to all our customers around. People are becoming more mobile. People aren't just sitting in the office anymore, and this is the one place to work. So you need to consider that. Bringing your own device in the office is great. Fine, we can solve that problem. But what about when they want to work when they're on the road? When they're in a coffee shop? When they're in an event like this, maybe? How are they going to access their secure data? Virtual desktop. There's quite a few people in here doing virtual desktop environments. How are you going to access them? And video, again, is becoming the medium to solve a lot of problems regarding sharing and collaborating of information. And think about how you're going to use these devices, because these devices are really powerful. And when we started using them, we just started using it for email and calendaring. But the application, and it's the apps on them, is the thing that really makes it a difference and a business benefit. And video can be a part of that. So we ran another survey, this ran in January, with our customers, and we spoke to the end users and the IT departments to get an understanding of what the perceptions of the network are. And there's a bit of a difference here between what IT think and what the users think. And the users are starting to see not the greatest performance in some networks. And the thing that's driving that are more devices are connecting. We're seeing on average 2.5 devices per user. So a network that was maybe deployed and designed maybe 3 years ago for maybe 100 users will have maybe 250 to 300 devices connected to it. What is your primary device wireless? IT, only 30% of IT think the primary device is wireless. But a lot more people are using their primary device wireless because they're good enough. I can do lots with this, depending on where I am, what I want to do, but I can still work. And I've worked today. I've done emails, I've answered, gone on Twitter. But I choose to use the device I want to choose. But the IT guys maybe have a different view. How much are you using it for personal use? How do we really know? And there is a real lack of visibility of what people are doing on this network. So that becomes about trust. What are they doing? Do we trust you not to go on Facebook all the time? Or do we say, right, yeah, go on Facebook, but as long as you get your work done, by the time it needs to be delivered, that's fine by us. One thing everybody agrees on, got carried away there, is onboarding is complex. We need to make onboarding of the devices really simple and easy to do, because we can't drag everybody into IT to do this. For example, one of the universities down in London Way, Brunel University, when we talk to them about bring your own device, go, what are you talking to us about bring your own device? We've been doing this for years. When we have Freshers Week, we have thousands of students coming into the university, all bringing their own devices, and they're going to connect, and that's how they're going to learn. So we know about this, and they've made it into an art form, because they've made it really, really simple. But it's got to be secure, so it's got to meet all the needs for IT. How do you identify the user? How do you identify the device? How do you identify what they want to do on the network or get access to? But those are the types of things you need to be able to consider. But people wanting to bring their devices onto the network is just the tip of the iceberg. I have a bit of a saying that I have nicked off somebody else, but I call it executive jewelry. Execs are causing problems in businesses, or senior managers are causing problems because they're going to walk in with an iPad. Look, I've got a shiny iPad. I can afford to buy an iPad. And they walk in and give it to IT and go, there you go. Get it connected, IT. All my other friends in other businesses are connected. Why can't I? And then IT are in this position going, ooh, right, he's quite senior. I need to do it for him, but it's breaking policy. So it's causing a challenge. And then on the flip side, you've got people coming in going, I've got this smartphone, can I use this? So we're getting it from both ends into IT. But then businesses and senior managers in the businesses are thinking about how do we recruit and retain the best talent? And I remember when I first came into the industry, we would all sort of phone your friend and go, oh yeah, what's it like working at Cisco? And you go, what company car do you get? What laptop do you get? Do you get a mobile phone? Now it's about what devices do you get? Do you get an iPad? Can I use my Apple device? Can I use my iPad? Can I use my Mac? Can I use my own PC? Do I have to come in the office to work? Can I be more flexible? These are the type of questions that people are coming out of university are asking. And businesses are needing to think about how do we make our place of work an attractive place to get the best talent to come into. And it's also about making people mobile and making people productive. A lot of customers I talk to are using the event of changing real estate, moving offices, reducing the amount of offices they have to help to deploy and drive a flexible working policy. Because they say, I can reduce the amount of real estate we have, and then I can get people working from home if they can, or if they're mobile or at the office, that's fine. We've got a 3-to-1 ratio, as in 1 seat for 3 people. If everybody came into our office, there'll be 2 people sat on top of me. But the real challenge comes down to what does the IT managers have to do? And the biggest thing that I speak to customers around is about security and protecting your data. And just because somebody's bringing in their personal device, does that give them right to have access to every single kind of data? People are concerned about what happens if they lose those devices. And that seems the biggest thing as well. What happens if I lose the device? What about the data on that device? But think about applications as well. And the applications is the thing that really changes bring your own device. Because it's the app that makes people productive. And the more you think about what apps would you like to think about becoming mobile, what apps could you get in front of people and to use on these smart devices that would help them do their job to be more productive wherever they are? But then you think about the challenges of legacy applications, applications that can't be used on those devices. How are you going to import them over? How are you going to deal about your virtual desktop strategy? I've had customers walk up to me and go, look, I'm doing VDI. What do I do now with bring your own device? Is that the thing that's going to solve it? And it is a bit of everything. It's quite challenging, but it's how do you support that? How do you support all the devices going to be connecting? Because the one thing that's going to happen is if IT tried to say you could only use these kind of devices, people will just start to work around you again. And it is having a policy and a way of connecting any kind of device, whether it's Apple, Android, or whoever. So here's an example of what we've done. So I know the numbers that can be perceived as large. We are a large enterprise company, but if you think about the percentages, they're most probably very common across the board. We started off with that pilot back in 2010. And then that's grown. And there you can see, by 2011, we had 17,000 devices connected. And by the end of our fiscal year last year, nearly 25,000 iPhones were connected. Every single one of those iPhones, iPads, and Android devices and other are all personally owned. The issue device, if you qualify for a mobile phone with mobile mail, you get a BlackBerry, but it is the lowest end BlackBerry. It does hardly anything. And so when people get that and they go, ooh, actually, no, it's all right, I'll use my own iPhone. Or you go away and buy your own iPhone. But that's what we've done. And that's really changed the dynamics of our business. And one thing we definitely don't do is we don't lock the device, we don't lock people down to use any one kind of device. So who was involved in this from a Cisco perspective? One interesting thing, HR involved. It's a cultural change. You cannot just go to our business. We didn't just go to our business going, right, that's it. Everyone bring your own mobile phones back in. You're not having them anymore. You've got to buy your own. We had to go through a real change in culture. And HR had to be fairly at the front with that as well. Compliance and legal. You have to make sure our business is still compliant. You can't break all the rules that Rich says about PCI by just going BYOD. You still had to make sure that we were compliant to all the things that we needed to be, because we hold confidential customer data as well. Legal had to be involved because they had to make sure that if we wipe somebody's device, are we going to be liable? So we had to make sure that there was a legal document that had to be provided that legal happy with. IT were a big involvement with this. But they were part of the team, but they weren't just the sole entity in it. Because we had to think about our network. Was our network ready? Is it capable of connecting 3 devices per person? The end support team had to change because we moved away from being actual saying, right, there's your laptop, there's your phone, we'll support you on that, to actually, do you know what? If you've got a problem with those, it's yours to solve now. If my Apple device breaks, I take it back to Apple. I don't take it back to our IT support. But what they did do was provide loads and loads of online information to help us. We've got wikis, self-support groups, mailer groups. Anybody who goes, oh, how do I do this? There's a link. There's a document online to show you how to do it. Applications team, and that's an ongoing challenge because we're continuously bringing out apps. We're designing our own apps, hosting our own apps as well, and we're also using cloud apps as well. Security was a huge part of this to make sure that we were as secure and not putting our customers and our company data at risk. So it goes to show you there's a lot of people that need to be involved with this. But to get it right and to build a great strategy that will enable you to do that, these are the kind of people or knowledge that you need to bring into this. So some considerations. Security. You need to identify the user, you want to identify the device, you want to identify the type, what applications they're trying to get access to. Think about web security. How are they going to secure that device when it's not on the network? When I'm going away and I'm browsing on this device, how do I know that I'm not going onto loads of malware sites and bringing that back into the business? How do you clean that device, or how do you check that device when you bring it back in? The other thing is policy. You need a policy. Even if your policy is no, we don't want to bring your own device, you need a policy to do that, and then policy to enforce. Think about the network, think about make sure it's capable of connecting all these different kinds of devices. The one thing that's becoming very apparent is Wi-Fi is becoming the main medium for devices to connect. I have 3 devices with me today. I've got an iPad, an iPhone, and a Mac. None of them have an Ethernet connection. How am I going to connect? It's going to be Wi-Fi. Think about the experience and the user experience. You've got to make it good, you've got to make it easy, you've got to make it slick. Because people get turned off very, very quickly. And that's the great thing about these smartphones devices. They're simple and easy to use and very intuitive. So don't take that away. From a personal perspective on cost, I think that's a bit of a challenging area. Initially, as a business, we haven't seen the cost benefits yet because the savings we've made from not providing mobile phones to people or smart devices to people, we've had to reinvest into making sure our security is up to speed, our network is up to speed as well. I feel that in the longer term, when you start to see the increase in productivity and those extra 2 hours every day out of your staff and people getting things done at earlier hours in the day, you're going to see cost benefits. In the long term, we reduced our mobile phone costs through hardware and mobile phone costs through actual data charges as well, because we renegotiated with Vodafone. Think about how you're going to manage and support all these different kinds of devices that are going to come onto the network. And think about your applications. What apps do you want to get those people using on those devices? And think about your strategy around how you're going to get them on there. Do you need to work with a company who's going to be able to convert your applications into apps that run on smart devices? Think about cloud. How can you utilize cloud to help deliver this strategy as well? So this is an eye chart, but this is the policy that we have to sign at Cisco before we're allowed to bring our own device in. And basically it says, I can't even read it from down there, to be honest. Cisco reserves the right to delete data from your Cisco-enabled mobile device, either directly or over the air, if Cisco confidential information is deemed likely to be compromised. Further, it is likely that any personal data, third-party application, or operating system files stored on the device will be deleted. So I have to sign that. So legal made sure that's a legally binding document. I sign, I go, great, I can crack on and use my personal device. So if somebody's not happy with it, they don't have to do it. But it goes to show this could be a written document or it could be an online document, but you need to think about that as well. And the one thing that does come from bring your own device is you're not just going to move everybody over to bring your own device straight away, because you're going to have people who are going to be legacy users who are happy with the desktop, happy working the way they want to work, and then there's going to be young people coming in who are going to be bringing their smart devices and want to work in a very different way. And that's the challenge. You've got to support all of those kind of people. So here's some decisions to make about what access you give to people. So on the left-hand side, you've got what I call is the corporate lockdown policy. Only corporate devices can get on the network, but you need to make sure that you can enforce that policy. And I'd say this one and the next one is where most of my customers are, which is basically the next one is providing internet access. Yes, they can come in, yes, they can connect, but we'll let them go on the internet. Get them out to the internet straight away. Guest access. And that's great because people are starting to expect to come into places and get access straight away. They want to be able to work wherever they are. And then you start thinking about where next? Where can we go with this? And then we start looking a bit more enhanced. So saying, right, okay, maybe you have contractors coming in. And you can say, right, as a contact, you can come in, you can get out to the internet, to VPN back in, or you might want to provide them with a certain amount of access to a certain amount of data that you deem pertinent for their role. And then at the far end is the advanced one, where basically you're looking at somebody coming in with any device and being able to have a security policy deployed specifically for that. So we're thinking about who is the user, what is the device, where they're coming in from, which we talked about earlier on. You need to be aware of that, and having a security policy deployed specifically for that instance. And that's what I would call the fairly advanced one, because it's a policy that's going to be there to be implemented, but it's implemented on every single time you connect to the network. MDM is a very fundamental part of this as well, because what I've been talking about is connecting to the network and controlling the information that you can go to and from the network and from your business and the data you can consume. But MDM and control of the endpoint is important as well, the ability to enforce policy onto that device, making sure that the device locks after 5 minutes. Make sure you have a minimum of the four-digit PIN code on there. Maybe you want to ensure the data is encrypted on here and ensure that people aren't jailbreaking them, and so opening it up to even further security threats. Managing the software deployment that's on there. Cisco know exactly every single app that I have running on here and is updated on a weekly basis. And then if I lose it, it can get wiped. If I lose it, they can help to lock it, they'll wipe it, and they can also help me to find it. Didn't work the other day because the battery was flat. There we are. But these are the types of things to consider. I don't think that just looking at the network is one of them. It's a plethora of many things. Think about your web security. Think about remote security. How do you get them back in? Think about how do you identify and posture those devices. So for me, it's a roadmap. You're never going to solve this because BYOD is the next thing coming on, and then you're going to have all these other kind of devices coming in. So having a strategy and a plan and a policy is a great thing to have, but it needs to be a living document. You need to think about working on that every sort of quarter, reviewing it. Is it the right thing to do? So have that workshop internally. Get the right stakeholders in for your business. HR, IT, the applications guy, legal, finance. These are the type of people who need to be part of this because it's got to be the right thing for your business. Have an assessment. Where are you? Where are you now? How ready are you for it? Do you have a Wi-Fi network? Do you think you need one? Does it need checking? Does it need upgrading? How do you authenticate users? put your design, put your plan in place, and then think about deploying it. But then you need to optimize it. So that's where you revisit it again. How is it working? How have you start to monitor? The way we did it at Cisco is we just turned it on and we started monitoring, because we wanted to know what we didn't know before, was who's connecting and with what devices. And from there, we made intelligent decisions. So even if you're going to say, right, well, let's just open some guest access, internet access out to our BYOD devices, at least then you can start to monitor and see what people are up to with it and how many people are connecting. So that's me. Thank you very much. I'll be around for the rest of the day for any questions.